And it was actually this young lady who worked at my job, my last my last job in the States. And she told me about an opportunity where I could work remotely from Thailand for a month and a half. And so I was just like, because the job I had been working for, they didn't even approve people working from home unless you were pregnant and you got a few months off of that. But other than that, they didn't even approve working from home. And so I created a 10-page proposal and I submitted it to them. And I said, well, this is where we are. Either, you can let me go and work remotely and I'll come back, or you can not approve it. I'll still go, but I won't come back to this job. And so they approved it. And while I was there, I actually met this young lady in Thailand, and she told me about working abroad. So when I came back 2 months later, I was moving to China. And it's just so crazy, the lifestyle. Now that I'm here in Mexico, it's not as glamorized as I thought it was, but I was in it in the moment. So, having a housekeeper or, not having to clean up after yourselves, really feeling wealthy, just brunching every day. I really like that. But yeah, that's really why I moved abroad, because I was just like, I want to try it. And then you get addicted to it. And I'm pretty sure you understand that you get addicted to this lifestyle. It's just like, oh, I don't want to go back to the States if I don't have to.
Yeah, facts. If I don't have to, that is where I am. I won't be going back unless I absolutely have to. That is exactly where I am. I totally agree. So I do see that, explain to me the digital nomad life abroad. Explain to me what that means to you, what the term digital nomad means.
That means, for me, it's someone who is working remotely and they're allowed to work from anywhere. And I think when people discuss solo traveling, they usually just place them together. And I always say there are two different types of solo travelers. So you have the solo traveler who is on vacation and it's recreational. They're usually not working. And then you have us, digital nomads. These are people who are going to need that strong Wi-Fi. People on vacation, it's like, I need Wi-Fi, but we depend on the Wi-Fi. We need certain things to make sure we're getting our job done. So for me, when it comes to being a digital nomad, there are so many things I do now that it's weird. And I say it's weird because it's just like and I talk a lot, so you can edit as you please.
Okay.
And so when it comes to being a digital nomad, I think of it as when I was working in the States, I had one job, right? Here as a digital nomad, I have different jobs and then they equate to one salary. And so this salary, fortunately for me, it's more than what I was making in the States, but it's still like, you have to be structured. And that's another thing. If you don't really have to punch a clock, you got to decide to wake up and get your work done. And I'm guilty of some days just saying, I'm going to go to the pool. But there are deadlines that still need to be met. So that you can pay your bills, because you're not on vacation, you're actually paying your bills. But yeah, digital
life. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I do want to ask you, how are you staying disciplined?
So number one, I am a teacher, right? And so I am the owner of a virtual learning academy for ESL learners. And most of my students are either in China or South Korea. This means it's an after school program. So this means whenever they're going to sleep, I'm waking up. So my classes start 4 a.m. So I'm up from 4 a.m. and my last class for the morning ends at 7 a.m. It is so difficult to go back to sleep once you've been up for 3 hours teaching kids. And I'm blessed because that is like my alarm clock. I get up, I teach, and then I'm like, okay, well, I can't go back to bed. Let me go ahead and get my day started.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So I know that you list a lot of ways that you are financially stable, how all of those different avenues that you have make one salary. If you want to touch on that a little bit more, or anything else that you've heard of, out here being a digital nomad that people could be interested in, if they are looking to be a digital nomad, and how they could be financially stable.
Right. So the first thing I always tell people to do is look into teaching online. That is the easiest way. And yes, you probably won't be able to pay all of your bills, but it'll help you towards like that consistent income. So there are there are platforms like VIP Kids, Eatonum. I actually use Eatonum to fill some of my classes. So Eatonum is a newer one, ABC Mouse. Now, a lot of these platforms are for people who are curious, and I'm not that type of teacher. So I stay away from VIP Kids and ABC Mouse, but some people might like that. Another thing I always tell people is look at affiliate links. This is a good way to get money. Amazon has affiliate links. VIP Kids has affiliate links. Almost anything you think of, they have affiliate links. And what that is a referral link basically. So when people click on these links, on your specific link to buy anything, you're getting commission. And the more links you have, the more income you can get. And that's just basically like passive income. You're just chilling on that, right? Let me see what else. Also content creation, freelance writing, collaborating with different organizations and companies. And that does consist of you being consistent on social media. But when you're living abroad, especially when you have a niche, right? It's way easier to approach these companies and say, hey, plus size, I'm Black, solo traveler, living abroad. I teach, like, why wouldn't you select me? And then you can begin to build that partnership. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I really love this question. Talk to me about the emotional toll of returning to the States after living abroad.
When I tell you guys, I actually had to go to therapy. And people often think we're exaggerating when we say we're coming back. And it was almost like a light switch. In China, everything was just so chill. Like I could walk through the park at 3 o'clock in the morning. No one's robbing me. I'm doing whatever I want. I felt so free. And then it's like you get to the airport and you get back to being aggressive. I'm now going through lanes and flicking people off and getting so upset and being so agitated. And it was also the whole thing of when you return and you've had these new experiences while living abroad. Meanwhile, your friends or your family, they have been doing the same thing they were doing when you left. And it's not to be judgmental because some people are not interested in traveling abroad, but also feeling like stifled, like I can't share my experiences because number one, they're not going to really understand. And then number two, they probably are going to think I'm bragging when it's like, girl, I just was, sitting out. Okay, that seems braggish, me moving my hair like that. But it's like, like maybe just wanting to express your experiences. And then just the toll of like paying bills again. People might think, oh, okay, you're an adult. But when you've gone through a situation where I wasn't paying bills because my school was paying for them, and then just getting hit with everything at the same time, and then not knowing when you could go abroad, I literally just felt trapped. And I think that was the hardest part for me, just feeling trapped. Like I did not leave China on my own terms. And so, yeah, it was very depressing for me.
Yeah, no. I definitely feel that. I only went home for one day, but I just know I went home for one day to go get more clothes and stuff. I said, I can't, there's nothing in my mind that makes me see that I could live in the United States again. I just can't see it being possible. I know that it is possible, but I can't. And
if I found me a good husband and he was just like, let's go back to the States, but you would have to be sent by God. Like I got to everything.
Himself.
Right.
God himself sent him. You're right. That's the only reason. I was literally telling somebody that last night. I said, the only reason why I would is because my husband is saying, hey, this is where the job is, or this is where I need to be. Literally the only reason. I do have a father, so if something happens to my dad, I will go back there to take care of him, but I would try to do whatever I need to do to get him out of that country. I'm serious.
And it's crazy because it's like, my family initially, they were not supportive at all. They were just like, no, you should not go. My grandmother, she's never complained before. No matter how sick she is, she never complains. The moment I told her I was thinking about moving to China, my grandma was like, well, I'm getting old. We could die any day. And I'm like, lady, you're laying it on a little too thick. But now they're so used to it. They're just like, okay, as I promised my mom, as long as I come back every 2 months, she's satisfied. She's good. And we talk every day.
Okay. Okay. That's nice. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So now I'm glad that your family is now supporting you.
But in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Yeah,
mm-mm.
they had to make it through that transition.
So they had no choice at that point. They were just like,
Yeah, right. Oh, she gone. She gone. Okay. Um, traveling. How has it been traveling during this pandemic? Because I just heard that you said like every 2 months you're trying to go home. So how has it been traveling?
it's been quite the adjustment. I think the hardest thing for me traveling is always, well, not now so much, but in the beginning, I did feel like I needed to explain myself to people. Like, of course, you have people who are just like, you're spreading the virus because you're traveling. And I always, like, I just felt so guilty at first. So I sat home, I went to Myanmar, and then I sat home for 8 months. And I just felt so guilty because every time I went somewhere, people were like, did you quarantine? Did you? And then I realized, let's be honest, the pandemic is not going to end summer 2021. This is something we're probably going to have to deal with for the rest of our lives or most of our lives. And so what we can do is we can stay in our bubble or we can continue to live our life because we're all going to die regardless, right? I'd rather die traveling and being happy. And so I continue to take the same measures I was taking back home, wear my mask religiously, sanitizing. My property manager actually came into my apartment the day before yesterday, and I'm like, ah, don't touch anything until we've done this part. Um, and then socially distancing. I think the same people who might give you a hard time about traveling during the pandemic, they're the same people going to work and the grocery store and the post office. So that's been the hardest part for me. It's like having to just have the I don't care mindset now.